want you all to know that if you don't step out of that comfort zone, this isn't going to change. And so when I said the anatomy of risk, I was really talking about know your stuff. Risk is not about being a testosterone junkie. There are plenty of those, and I bet you worked for a few. But I want you to be really aware that it's not just men, and I meant that. We have women who are testosterone junkies. So if anybody in the room thought I was only talking about men, no. We have to watch this because we're looking at a world that is so different than anything you've ever seen, that if you don't do your homework, you literally could make a negative impact on your company. So when I talk about impact, I think about it in terms of the company, the bottom line, the quality of leadership on those teams. You know, you have something to say about team people, who works well, and I'm really convinced that if we hold our standards really high, it's going to pay off in the long run. So I want you to understand that risk. Now, you've done all your homework. We're doing the anatomy. You've done your homework, you've seen the future, you've looked at the trends, you've looked at your company's resources so you know how much risk it can take, what percentage it can stand, and how much you stand to make if you push those decisions. Is it worth it? Then what happens? You're sitting there and all this information is right at your fingertips. What's your next hurdle?
Convincing others.
Who said?
Convincing others.
Oh, I love this. She's moved to the step of convincing others. You know what happens to most women? They become immobilized by fear at that point. They've done all the work, they've got all the information, and what we found in our research is that women who are CEOs at the CEO level of the commercial real estate industry, this is the problem they have: decision making. We did a study. I can tell you it's the truth. It was decision making. And it was when you get to that point where you have to make a decision, you are immobilized. And if you are immobilized, you know what's going to happen to you and to your company? Somebody else is going to make that decision, and they're going to get that gain. So paralysis by perfectionism is really got to go. You don't have to be perfect. Your boss doesn't have to be perfect. Your mother didn't have to be perfect. And your mother-in-law certainly doesn't have to be perfect. But I want you to know that that's our biggest downfall. If I could put my finger on one thing, that stops risk-taking. And that stops decision-making. It is that single issue, is that we think we can't fail. Because if we fail, oh my gosh, everybody's going to see it. And we're not going to be perfect. You know, we're just not. Okay, give it up. It's already time to go. You are never going to be perfect. You are just going to be genuine, hardworking, honest, and capable. Your company wasn't built by people who were perfect. Why do you waste any thought on perfection? I have not a clue, except my next stage of life will probably be doing research on why our culture thinks women have to be perfect. Because I don't think it makes any sense, and I think it hurts the value that everybody brings to the table, men and women. And we want to make sure that we don't play that game. We're not perfect, we don't have to be, we can't be. And if you become so ingrained in those issues, you drain your energy. So you say, how do I know this? I know this because when we did that survey with women who'd reached the C-suite, the profile came back, and we used the British survey that does accomplishments at different stages of your life and profiles what you need to learn. And I absolutely almost fell off the chair. There it was, black and white. I had already written a white paper for that year that said, in my mind, women who get to the C-suite do not have the usual problems of decision-making and conflict resolution and networking and fear of failure that women who do not reach the C-suite. That was my whole thesis, my whole proposal. And there it was, black and white, they have the same problems. So what was different? What was different? Is that what you're going to ask? No, I'll come up. What I think is different, we did the next study. They have sponsors. They had a sponsor within that company. Somebody who believed in them and somebody who talked them through every stage of their fear. And that is something crew members do for each other. That is also a major part of what we do. Have somebody that's got your back, somebody who sponsors you, somebody who's your mentor, and if you don't have a sponsor, get one. Find somebody in that company that believes in you. Remember I told you about my 7th grade home economics teacher? She'd be horrified to know what I do now. But I would say, honestly, you must have a sponsor, somebody who will push you. And some people talk to me about mentors. Mentors are good, but let me tell you, they're not good if they're not giving you lots of negative feedback. Your mentor needs to tell you the truth. And sometimes we pick people who like us and who want to be our friend, but they're not necessarily good at saying, you know why you're not getting to that C spot? It's because you annoy everybody all day long. I've been in that position.